There's something about Joe Rogan that is deeply obsessed with vegans. Something deep down in this giant bald head can't bear the existence of us soy boys. I really like Joe Rogan. I made a video about him called How to Be a Badass. Yet this constant, repetitive, nagging behavior when it comes to veganism got me thinking. I mean, Joe can be admired for so many things. He has a successful career, seems to be a happy guy in a happy relationship, and is flush with cash. Yet I personally think something is wrong. The dissatisfaction that Joe has for veganism is only matched by that of Sean Baker and of Piers Morgan.
I'm a humanitarian. I eat everything apart from humans.
But in the end, these people might just be the biggest supporters of the diet. Here are 3 points that I want to touch upon today that will explain the underlying structure of Joe's thinking when it comes to veganism. In a recent discussion with this huge strongman, Joe obviously wanted to put the talk into a very precise direction.
And we do a lot of peppers and stuff like that.
No one's vegan?
What we need to understand for Joe Rogan to even consider talking about veganism in front of millions of people and with a limited time with his guest, the topic needs to be on top of his mind. Veganism needs to be something that really concerns Joe or that he has a deep interest in.
I think what's interesting about Joe is I will find him to be spontaneously bringing up veganism like all the time in an unprovoked way. So what I take from that is it's in his consciousness on some level.
I go out on a limb here and suggest that Joe knows that the vegan diet is the better choice morally and logically. He's not a person void of emotion. He's aware of factory farms, and this is one of the main reasons he goes hunting. It is because he thinks it is morally less evil than buying meats from factory farms.
Like, especially factory farming when it comes to like cows and shit and pigs. It's disturbing to see them all stacked up in there like that. It's disturbing to see those rivers of shit where...
But here's an issue. Joe is subconsciously this creature that loves meat.
You go there, you get this fantastic steak. It's so old worldy too, when you get in there that...
Yet on the other hand, he also is concerned about animals. Well, to some degree.
He's very conscious of all of the terrible treatment of these animals. I find him to be sensitive to that.
So the only way Joe can actually get rid of this cognitive dissonance, of this gap between the two beliefs inside his head, is to find supporting anecdotal evidence that explain to him that the vegan diet is not good for humans.
So you had 2 New York strips today?
Yeah. I mean, that's,
2 pounds of meat.
It took me a while to build up to this. Before, like a pound of meat would be, that'd be tough. Now I can put down 4 pounds at one time.
And people looking at you would go, well, he's super lean. Like, obviously, whatever you're eating, your body's processing it really well.
In this way, he can eliminate his cognitive stress that makes his actions not aligned with his beliefs. The more an uninformed guest of him assures that the vegan diet is not right for health and performance, the better he feels subconsciously.
What the fuck?
This is also the reason why there's no Dr. Michael Greger on his podcast. Joe tends to invite people that are aligned with his already existent beliefs, like Sean Baker. Why? Glad you asked, because we all like people that confirm our currently held beliefs. Yet this is, number 2, not aligned with his search of wisdom. As vegans, we need to know that there's wisdom found in listening to beliefs in carnivores. As a carnivore, you need to know that there's wisdom found in listening to vegans. In fact, before I became vegan, one of the things that I did was watching YouTube videos called Why You Shouldn't Be Vegan. I wanted to have all the contrary evidence to the actions that I plan to do, because the best way to make sure that I have the best arguments for my side is to listen to the best arguments of the other side. The reason why we usually don't do this, and why you probably cringed when I told you to listen to carnivores, was because it is painful. It's hard listening to another person with a different belief. Yet going through this pain is the only way to find truth. Here's the issue. We think that our mind works like a car. Our conscious is the driver while our subconscious is the car. The driver is seemingly rational and makes good decisions, and the car just adjusts to the driver in an instant. Yet this is not how our mind works. How it really works is like an elephant and the rider. The rider, our conscious, thinks that he's in control, but the fact is that our subconscious is just way stronger. So consciously, Joe might think that he's objective in his thinking, yet the elephant in his mind points into a very distinct direction. and the direction the elephant points to is to a love of meat.
I just like it better, and I do like a corn-fed steak. I do like it.
But there is... You need to be aware of this dichotomy. Researchers use a term called confabulating. Confabulation means that we reason our behavior in hindsight, which means the elephant walks into a certain direction and the driver reasons to himself that this is the way he tended to go in the first place. We think that we have complete control over our mind, yet we don't. And there's a 100% chance that this applies to your life. We are prone to see mistakes in others, yet we fail to realize that this happens to every single one of us, all the time. So what does this mean? I think Joe Rogan is aware of the effects of meat consumption. He's generally not the guy to choose pleasure over his morals and shows extreme discipline. The problem is that his elephant, his subconscious, is steadily walking to a direction of supporting meat, and the driver wants to reassure that he's walking in the right direction. Joe Rogan is consistently confabulating when it comes to veganism. So is Piers Morgan, Jordan Peterson, and especially Sean Baker. I mean, just look at Sean Baker interpreting his blood test results.
Showed that the day I took it, my testosterone level was relatively low. I did repeat it about 3 days later, and it was a bit higher. It was still in the low normal range. Okay. One thing that shows you is how dynamic blood labs are. That's one of the points I've made for a long time. Your blood values can change day to day based on a whole bunch of things. One value by itself is meaningless.
The rider simply does not have the strength to change the course of the elephant in our mind. Any logical argument that is brought against the course is shattered away by the subconscious. We need to know this when dealing with carnists. Logical arguments do not change the course of a person, but emotional ones do. But we have to understand that Joe is stuck in his beliefs. I think him constantly bringing up the cause is still a net plus for veganism. There's no such thing as negative publicity, and this goes for every celebrity trashing veganism.
He's still talking about it, and I see that as a positive. I think anytime we're bringing up the subject, it creates some sort of dialogue, and it makes people question it at least a little bit. And whether, again, if they're totally against it, they're at least going to be thinking about it. And that, I think, is a huge, powerful thing. So I'm super grateful for Joe Rogan.
With the big outreach that Joe and Piers Morgan have, for example, there will be people that search veganism after their arguments and actually are inclined to try it. So Joe might just be one of the vegan protagonists. Conclusion. Just by the sheer fact of the occurrence of the term vegan in the Joe Talks, we can conclude that the term is on top of his mind.
I see this all the time with vegetarian and vegan diets.
That's exactly what I wanted to talk to you about.
There's something about the idea that strikes a nerve in Joe's brain. I think Joe is suffering from cognitive dissonance and is constantly searching confirmation that strengthen his current beliefs. The term for this phenomena is officially called confabulation. Is there a chance that Joe will be vegan in the future? I don't know. But just by the sheer energy invested in the thought process of analyzing veganism, we can conclude there's indeed a chance. And the message that this change in behavior would send to the audience would be amazing for the movement. So I think it's time to stop confabulating and time to do what is right. The mission of this YouTube channel is to put veganism across the goal line. If you want to help us achieve that, like and subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Let's make food production great again.